Your fear, anger, and judgment will surface first. That's the title of an Any Advice message that came through today, and it's on the site. And if you read that, it will make a lot of sense, but I'm going to go over it and I'm going to actually explain it because that's the process that we move through as humans in our lives, no matter who we are. See, we have the fear because we have to move into something that's unknown to us. We begin that since we were kids, when we're born, when we start to have a sense of who we are in the world. And so we will have that fear, and then we decide if we're going to allow it to stop us from moving forward or if we stay where we are. And then we get angry. And so a lot of times we're angry and we think that we're angry at those people, we're angry at someone out there, and it's never that. We're angry at ourselves because we're not willing to move to that next level of who we're meant to become, a higher state of being, a higher state of consciousness. So that's why we get really angry. And then we have judgment. Because, see, the judgment is that we haven't accepted ourselves. And that's where the judgment comes up. That's where they come up for all of us in every single way, the fear, the anger, and the judgment. Because, see, when we haven't taken those steps, if we can judge someone else because they haven't fixed something that we want to have corrected in our lives, then we can have judgment and we think that that is going to get rid of what we're feeling within ourselves. We do that in our lives, but we also do that in our world, and we do that in our civilization, which is what we're moving through currently. And I knew all of that, but having others accept that was challenging because of judgment, my own and theirs. That's the only difficulty that any of us experience in life. But I'm going to give you something today that will change all of that for you because I know that you are alive now to do something really brilliant. Just may want a little more encouragement, and that's what I have. Except it came through a long time ago as well. So I've been doing this for a really long time to come to this time in our world. There's nothing that's happening, occurring in our world that Wilhelm did not tell me, and you've probably heard it if you've come to any of the Wilhelm channeling sessions, because I always receive the information before it shows up in our world. And I published something today that was a video from 2021, and if you listen to that, you will understand what might be happening in your life today and also in our world. There's an organization in the universe. We're all aligned with it. Everyone has a part to play. And once you start to become aligned with your individual role, you heal and you become brilliant and you do all these wonderful things and you leave a great legacy because we only live a certain amount of time. So you have to decide when you're going to do it. And for many of us, that might be today. There's a great portal coming through. This is the 1111 portal. So I'm going to share a couple things with you that will have you understand why this message that I did on the 10th, your fear, anger, and judgment, you'll understand it a lot more. But I'd love for you to also hear the recording that came through, and that was in 2021, but you will understand it today. But let's read the message first, and then you will get so much out of the recording. And I'll just leave a link in there. You can just find it and listen to it on your own. But this is the message. Your fear, anger, and judgment will surface first. It is a process every human will move through on their soul journey. But you exist now at an extraordinary time, which we have called your restructuring. The time in your world is quite volatile, but we wanted to remind you of who you are and what you came to accomplish. We gave you that information last year on this date, but we had our messenger find a session to give you today. If you accept what we have provided, you will lead the most extraordinary life you can imagine. Your world will be restructured and your life will have been successful. Then we'll go back another year. Consciousness rises over time. That was given last year. Just so, because we accept it a little bit at a time, you each evolve in your awareness, and you do so using your linear time. Today, we will move. We Today you will be more motivated to own who you are, and so then it goes back to 2021, and the time is now. We use the past tense in that sentence to help you understand that you are experiencing what you are experiencing and what you intended to do in your life at this time. You were born to accomplish something that would aid your evolution and that of your world. And the best time for you to achieve your goal is now. We use the past tense in the title to indicate what is before you now, which you set in place years ago. Now is the time you intended for it to come alive, but your belief before had not been enhanced as it has become recently. We said we gave you everything in 2012, and now we will do it in the present moment to aid you today. If you utilize it, the promised results will manifest and you will be fine. Listening to the session now will better prepare you for the next phase of your life. You are evolving, and loving yourself is the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself and the planet. When you listen to the recording, you will understand so much more because it brings out what we are moving through in our world, which I knew, but accepting that was also my difficulty because we all have this thing of what we think things are, how things are supposed to happen. Well, they didn't happen that way for me. And they aren't supposed to happen that way for you because you are born to be a unique individual. And when we can't accept that, we have chaos and what we're seeing in our world now. We move through times in our civilization, and it's gone on forever. You will hear this in that video because Wilhelm brought it through all the civilizations that we've had, that we move through different things. And this time we're moving through a restructuring, which they said would be focused in the United States, which explains everything that we've moved through and also the election that was just had. Because, see, Wilhelm told me that the thing that was going to be more important this time in our evolution, if we can get there, is to accept more of ourselves, meaning each individual, but then the collective self, I mean every individual, but we haven't done that. And so they brought out the United States had set itself up to be the leader of the free world and offer something for everyone, but we hadn't reached that place. But the only reason we hadn't reached that place is because we hadn't reached that place within ourselves. We hadn't accepted that our individual being is really valuable and we just need to develop it. But see, then we'll have fear and then we'll make everyone else wrong and try to put them down so that we can feel better. That's how we get controlled, and we've been controlled. So Wilhelm said they gave us something new, and they did it through me. And that is a philosophy called Your Life Operating Instructions. Because they said you aren't operating in the way that your world could sustain itself. You've left out women. Why would you keep doing that? Over civilizations, you're supposed to include everyone. And then you've left out people of color because they weren't seen as being enough or valuable. That's the separation that we've all experienced in our human beings, in our world. And so this period was meant to correct that. But we had help from the galaxies, from the universe. We are all affected by the energies and the movements of the galaxies. Everything in the universe is energy. It just takes us a while to figure that out. And what I was told is that everything was aligned. And I've discovered that that is true. And that's been really surprising for me recently because I keep discovering more, which is why I've put up many things for you. I mean, you'll find the links in my video description of messages that came through over years on the same day to point out to all of us that we evolve individually and collectively over time. But we also must be willing to do it. And the way that we become willing is to give up our judgment of ourselves. That's all. That's all we got to do is give up our self-judgment, accept the next version of who we're meant to become, and we have a very different world. So the philosophy that was given to me said everyone has value. Everyone was born with a gift. Everyone has that. Everyone is worth something. We don't have any meaningless people who are ever born, but we had to have a new way of thinking about that, and it was given to me. That is the philosophy. This is why when you listen to that recording, I'll explain the last two that I've put up. This is why I can't see anything wrong with people, because I know that you have something that's just being developed. But the only frustration that I have is with myself saying I got to talk about it, but then with the ones that I work with, because you won't believe it either. That's the only difficulty we have is self-belief. But I will tell you that you have everything you need to live this really brilliant life. I created something that can help us move to a higher state of understanding in humankind. I won't be here forever, so somebody else will bring something else in. That's how evolution works. But you will enjoy this, and I'll leave the link for that session because I would love for you to listen to it. As you do, you will feel so much better about your life. You will understand what's happening in our world, and then you'll decide that you're going to become your best self and love who you are and bring your gifts to the world because you have them. Please subscribe to this channel and share it with others and do something brilliant because you have it within you, and I know that you do. And the only reason you haven't gotten there yet is you just haven't accepted yourself yet. You will. See you soon.